Religion is a big part of a lot of people's lives. The issue of religion being allowed in school is such a big topic in the world today. According to the website Data and Statistics 2017, National Secular Society, a study was taken to see what % of parents would or would not send their children to a faith school. 60% of parents said they would not send their children to a faith school. And this is the graph. The 60% is what they would not send their children to school. As a person who went to a faith-based school until 6th grade, I believe I am well knowledgeable for this topic. Let's first take a look at prayers, followed by religious symbols, and finally the Pledge of Allegiance to see why religion should not be allowed in public schools. Prayer should not be forced upon students in public schools. School districts should not force their religious views on students. According to Rice P. 2009, November 1st, Faith, Fairness, and the Fight Over School Prayers, McLaughlin Tribune Business News, the American Civil Liberties Union filed a lawsuit on behalf of 2 students who were fighting against the Santa Rosa County School District. The students claimed that some school officials were forcing religious views upon them. The school district agreed that they would no longer push religion upon students. Students should pray by themselves with not having others join them. 10 days after the school agreed not to force religion upon the students, the athletic director and the principal of the school prayed over a meal dedicated to the new field house. Since students were at the meal, the 2 men were forcing them to pray. The principal and the athletic director were later charged with contempt. The principal and the athletic director made a wrong decision when they chose to pray over the meal with the students present. This story proves that prayer should not be forced upon students in public schools because not every student has the same religious beliefs. Now that you know about why prayer should not be allowed in public schools, we will focus on why religious symbols should not be allowed. Religious symbols should not be allowed in public schools. School districts should not allow their students and teachers to wear or promote religious symbols. According to Horvath G. and Bacco R. 2009, Religious Icons in Romanian Schools, Text and Context, Journal for the Study of Religions and Ideologies. Public schools in Romania were promoting religious symbols to their students. A parent of a student wrote a letter protesting against the practice of displaying religious symbols in his daughter's school. In the parent's letter, the main points were to withdraw all religious symbols from the classroom of his daughter's school and to withdraw all religious symbols from all public schools in Romania. Stories just like the one I just shared with you leads to locations for hate and bias. According to Hate at School, 2019, May 2nd, Southern Poverty Law Center, the place where students are targeted the most for hate and bias of religious symbols is in a hallway, bathroom, or elsewhere in a school building. So the blue is where they're targeted the most, which is the bathrooms in the hallway. The second most targeted place is inside classrooms, which is the red. The story and statistics I have shared with you prove that religious symbols should not be allowed in public schools because parents have certain views of their own and students are more likely to be targeted. Now that you understand why religious symbols should not be allowed in public schools, we will focus on why the Pledge of Allegiance should not be allowed. There are many religious beliefs in the world, and the Pledge of Allegiance goes against some of those religions. Forcing children to go against their religious beliefs is morally wrong. According to Valentine D., 2013, November 6th, Forcing Pledge Broke Rules, Tampa Bay Times. A 4th grade class was supposed to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance on September 11th. In the class was a boy who was a Jehovah's Witness. The class stood and recited the pledge while the boy stood with his hands to his side and in silence. The teacher proceeded to grab the boy's hands and put it on his heart, but the boy resisted and took his hands away. The teacher was later suspended for 5 days. According to the website Pledge of Allegiance on Stat Church, a study was taken to see if people thought the Pledge of Allegiance is constitutional. 28% of people said no. 31% of people said they had no opinion. Also, according to the same website, Pledge of Allegiance on Stat Church, another study was taken to see what part of the pledge people thought was most controversial. 59.65% of people said one nation under God, which is this big yellow part. And 8.777% of people said indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, which is this little green part. According to Pitt's D&D IT 725 Foundations of Instructional Technology Fall 1997 class project, Emporia State University, the website has a study they took of 3rd to 4th graders to see if they knew the pledge. 79% of children could not write the pledge, which is shown in this top graph, and 72% could not define the terms of the pledge, which is in the bottom graph. From the teacher forcing the child to put his hand on his heart for the pledge, to seeing all these different statistics, proves that the Pledge of Allegiance should not be forced upon students or said in public schools. Overall, we have taken a closer look at prayers, religious symbols, and the Pledge of Allegiance to learn why religion should not be allowed in public schools. Religion should not be allowed in public schools for these reasons and many more. Something you can do to prevent religion being forced upon students in public schools is to be aware of your surroundings and watch for it happening. Even though religion is a big part of a lot of people's lives, it should not be allowed in public schools, and it should be a choice. Pan, 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 pan.